Hi, welcome to my home. Come on in. Are you a seasonal decorator? Do you pull out stuff for, other than Christmas, that is. Most everybody decorates for Christmas, right? But do you decorate for fall, spring, and summer? Or do you do all holidays? Valentine's, St. Patrick's, Easter? Tell me in the comments below. Do you do every holiday? Do you do seasonally? Do you do only Christmas? I'm curious. I don't usually do much seasonal decorating. I only decorated for fall right now because I am in the midst of doing a job. So I don't usually go all out for decorating, although Thanksgiving is my holiday, so I generally do a little bit of decor for Thanksgiving. Not much, you'll see. It's not much. I don't love like styling little tabletop vignettes. It's just not my forte. I love it in other people's homes. I love to see it in pictures on Pinterest and on Instagram when people do lovely tabletop designs and vignettes. I love that. But for my own home and my own lifestyle, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of stuff on my surfaces. I generally like to keep my surfaces pretty bare. And the reason why that is because I have a very busy household. I don't have a lot of time to keep it neat and clean. I'd rather spend the time at my sewing machine. So my house gets messy, and if I have a lot of stuff on all of my surfaces, I feel like it just contributes to the mess. And so generally I just prefer to have my surfaces pretty bare. But I have done some vignettes and decorating for this season. I'm working on a big fall job right now, and so I've been knee deep in fall and autumn decor. So it got me inspired to go ahead and pull out all of my fall and autumn decor now so that I can get ahead of the game for Thanksgiving. But even though I don't generally decorate seasonally, except for Christmas, I do think that there are some good things about decorating seasonally. That is that you can change things up in your space and you don't get tired of your space. When you have a little bit of change seasonally, your space will seem fresh every season and you don't get tired of things, and therefore you're not tempted to go out and shop for new stuff. So I say that to say that everything that I'm showing you today, I haven't bought anything new for my fall decor this year. Everything that I've got out and that you'll see in this video, I've had it year after year, and I'll tell you all about it. So let's get started. All right, so my house has a very open floor plan. I've got a 1960s rambling ranch with very, very low ceiling, excruciating low ceilings. And that's one of the things that I would love to change about my house, is somehow raise the ceilings. And I know there's a couple ways I can go about it, but until my house is 100% paid for, that won't happen. So when you see me raising my ceilings, you know I paid my house off. As well as the floors. I really need new floors all throughout. I've got a bunch of different flooring surfaces, and I'd love to change my floors. But again, same reason. Okay, so we're going to move into my dining room. Here we are in my dining room, and I have changed a few things in here sort of recently. If you're somebody who's been in my community for a little while here on YouTube, then you may notice that there's a couple things different. One of them is this chandelier. My daughter bought me this for Mother's Day. I wanted something that was a little bit more visually open before I had that fabric covered drum shade, and although it was beautiful visually, it took up a lot of space, and I wanted to have this a little bit more open when you walk into my house. It did not have shades on it, so I added these black shades. I also have a set of white shades that I'm thinking of doing fabric covered shades for, so we'll see about that. Maybe I'll keep that for summer and do black in the winter. Anyhow, and like you can tell, I like to keep my surfaces open. I don't have a large centerpiece on my table. Once in a while I do one, but because we use this table a lot to eat, I didn't want to have something that's high here because it's just so nice to be able to just bring our meal over here and sit down, light the candle, and eat rather than having to move a large decorative piece off the table every night. I also changed out this space here. So if you remember, and I'll throw up a picture here, I had a different piece of art here before that I had painted myself, and it had been there for years. But at one point I had a whole armoire here and I loved it, but it took up a lot of space, and it was very deep because it was made for one of the old tube TVs, and so it was deep and it felt like it just swallowed up this space. But I always felt like I wanted to have a cabinet here, and so I finally got one. I found this on Facebook Marketplace for $50. And I refinished it. It was dark, and the person before me, I think, had refinished it as well. And the polyurethane they put on was really thick and very, very shiny. I stripped it all off, lightened it up, and here it is. And this art is just sort of a placeholder. I had bought this a while back, a couple years ago at Home Goods because it was on deep clearance, and I intended to just paint over it and then never did. Well, I just kept it in my laundry room, and I think it works. I think it's kind of a calming situation here. I'll probably, change that out for something really beautiful when I find it, and I'll know it when I see it. But for now, this is just the way it's going to be. But this adds so much storage space here, and I just love it. I can keep my dinner napkins in all these drawers, leave this drawer here open so that I can take whatever paperwork and anything, computers that are on the table here. My husband works here a lot, and put it into this drawer to keep the space neat and clean. One of the reasons why I went ahead and bought this cabinet at this time is because I was recently at an Airbnb for work, and they had a record player in the Airbnb, and we played it, and it sounded so nice. And I just really forgot how nice, well, not that I forgot, I just remember old record players and how scratchy they sounded, and so I never really wanted one, but this record player sounded so nice. I was like, ooh, I'd love to have a record player. So I think I might put a record player on here and keep my records down here at some point. One more thing, when I was at that Airbnb where they had the record player, we went a few hours free, so we went thrift shopping, and I managed to find this lamp, actually two of them exactly the same, and they were $2.50 a piece, and I think it's just perfect here. I might do something special with the shade, but I love it. All right, so let's move into the piano room. Here we are in the piano room, or the piano portion of this big room. This is where my husband works. He is a professional piano player, so this is his office. And when you hear music randomly playing in the background of my videos, that's because he is right here or right here playing the piano. He does it a lot, and I can hardly ask him to stop playing, so I'll just usually shut my door, but you can generally hear piano playing in the background of a lot of my videos randomly. I won't go too much into this because it's pretty much a mess. We generally don't have two pianos here, but because he's a professional musician, somebody gifted him this piano, and this was the old piano. So this is the situation right now. I'm hoping that we can get rid of one or the other, one way or the other. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so it's kind of a mess over here because I can't get to my bookshelves. They're messy and dusty, and I want to change out my lights, but this is the way it's going to be for a little while till we can get this situation remedied. And just so that you know, we're not going out on the back patio. As you can see, it's a disaster out there. And this is Florida, and we are technically still in hurricane season. So my back patio is filthy. So we will be staying inside the house. I'll take you around past my dining space and around into my living room. And there's our ping pong table out on the back patio. Here we are in my living room. And so these are if you've been around for a while, these are the sofas that I slip covered with that Revolution fabric. So these are both slip covered, and they really need to be cleaned pretty bad. What I would like to do is actually reupholster these. So let me see, I'll show you what's under here. So there's a blue floral fabric under here. It's a real 70s looking floral. It's actually not terrible, but not really my thing. Let me show you the fabric that I'm thinking of using. I'm thinking of reupholstering the sofas in this Revolution fabric and actually reupholstering them, not slip covering them this time. That's something I'm I'm playing with. My table is pretty low key. We always have the Scrabble board out on the table because we like to play Scrabble at night rather than sitting on the couch silently doom scrolling on our phones. We like to sit here. I sit here and my husband sits there and we play Scrabble. So these are just cheap IKEA cubes that I slip covered. And then this sofa, I usually actually don't have pillows on my sofas. Normally I just have this one pillow here in the summertime, but because it's fall and I made these 3 pillows, I made all the pillows, but I made these 3 Halloween pillows. I decided to go ahead and put them out because that black cat pillow is my favorite. I love cats and I love that. It's just funny. The grumpy face. I don't normally put pillows because they just get squished and messy looking. In the summer, it's just open and all neutral, and I have one pillow there, so in case somebody wants to lay down and put their head on a pillow, there is something there. The 2 sofas I got from Facebook Marketplace. These I got on Craigslist. I got this on Facebook Marketplace. No, actually, I bought this at an auction. It was $10. That chair was my mom's, and that's the chair that I'm going to reupholster in that Lee Jofa fabric that I showed in my last video. That's the chair that I'm going to reupholster in that. I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to get going on that. Oh, I should turn the TV on. Ugh. The frame, I framed out the TV for art. I did a video on how to make that frame for a TV. I bought the frame at Habitat for Humanity and framed the TV. Oh, and if you'd like to see the video on how I basically refaced this whole wall, I do have a video on that as well. This used to be brick 3/4 of the way up. It was awkwardly high, and then there was paneling above it. And I took out a bunch of brick, refaced this whole thing, and made a fire pit with the remaining brick. You can watch that video. I'll put a link for it in the description box below. That was a fun project. Now let's move on to the kitchen. Okay, there's the art on the TV. It doesn't show up well on camera, but my daughter did that for me. So, spinning you around, that is the door to my workroom, and you can see all the pumpkins I've got in there. Into my kitchen. I don't really know what I can say about my kitchen other than it's completely a DIY. The whole darn thing was DIY'd. Counters are all epoxy. The cabinets are mostly original. I built that cabinet because the refrigerator was right here at one point. And then I've got the 2 cabinets that are file cabinets. And the floating shelves I put in myself, and these are actually hollow core bifold doors that I cut down to 9 inches deep, and then I put a cleat on the wall and then slid the door onto the cleat. That's a super easy way to make floating shelves. Cheap too, because these bifold doors or hollow core doors, you can use any kind of hollow core door. You can buy them at Habitat for Humanity so cheap. In my kitchen, as far as fall decor, I usually have some sort of a plant or floral something or other in my corner to give that height. So I just changed that out for my hay stalks of dried hay or whatever that is, honestly. Anyway, so that I put my little turkey gravy thing up here. And I changed out my compost dish. I usually keep a compost bucket. So I decided to go ahead and use this. I changed it out. I'm going to use this as my composter up until I bring out Christmas because I don't use it for cookies. And so I thought, well, that's perfect. It's got a lid. It'll be great for compost. Oh, I did want to touch on one thing about my candles. I generally don't burn candles all that much. Never in the summer, just because, well, hardly. Once in a while I do burn them in the summer, but mostly in the fall and winter I'll burn candles. Not that often anyway. But I usually like to put them in a glass container like this because, for one, I think it's pretty. I think it's beautiful. More beautiful to see candles burning in a container like this than just the container that you buy from the store on the counter. I think this looks so pretty. I think it's safer that way too. And then, of course, a nice pot of soup on the stove in the fall is always a good thing. And my refrigerator is tucked back there. Oh, and I do want to tell you one thing about my plans for the kitchen. One of the things that I want to do in here is, and I've mentioned this on numerous videos because I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I'm going to take out this window. I've got 2 tall, narrow windows. Actually, they're this wide each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this window out, install that tall window, which will go all the way. I'm going to have to take out that bulkhead and it'll go all the way up and almost to the counter here. And I'm going to close up this section here close this up and then put the other window here, because I'm going to take my stove from this island and I'm going to move my stove right here where I closed up this wall and install a nice decorative range hood over it, so that my kitchen will have a focal point and it'll be symmetrical. Right now this window is off center and that always bothered me. Not such a big deal, but this is also old jalousie window and it is very, very inefficient. When you stand here in the winter, you can feel the cold just coming in, and I'm sure that my AC just gets sucked out of those windows all the time. So that's something I really want to do. You know, I'm gonna have to plan it because I've got to move some electricity to put a window here and take out that bulkhead. So it's a big job that I've got to figure out how to do it. Just wanted to say real quick, like I did at the beginning, it feels so odd to be taking you around my house and showing you around my house that I DIY'd everything and it's all kind of in my opinion, but it's way, way better than it was. Feels weird to be talking about myself and everything that I did this and I did this and I did this, but I'm hoping that it doesn't come off that way, that it is actually some sort of inspiration for you to possibly pick up a hammer and a screwdriver and try to do some things around your house. You can do things really inexpensively if you get creative and are willing to shop the secondhand stores and the Habitat for Humanity and Facebook Marketplace. You can have a super beautiful home on a really tight budget. So I hope it was an inspiration for you today. Do some DIY stuff around your house or start sewing some things around your house. So that wraps up my fall home tour. If you're curious about the video that I made, how to create a cozy, comfortable home, you can click on that video right here and I'll see you over there.